The time challenge. What will you buy with your time today? Welcome to this mad coaching habit from Difference Makers by John Michael. This is Kim's time challenge story.
The breaking point, when time slips through your fingers. I glanced at my watch, 10:47 p.m. Another day evaporated, and my to-do list was still glaring at me like a judgmental boss. The kids were finally in bed. Sarah was reading in the living room, and the house was quiet except for the faint barking of our dogs in the backyard. But the quiet didn't bring peace. It merely amplified the noise in my head. Mortgage payments, school fees, the delayed project at work, the missing hamsters. Boy, that had caused a meltdown. Everything seemed to pile up and never, ever get put away. No matter how much I tried to organise and plan, the days slipped through my fingers like water. I felt like those hamsters on their wheel, working harder and harder but getting nowhere. Maybe they'd finally seen sense and decided that enough was enough. I rubbed my chest, the dull ache making its presence known again. It wasn't the first time. The doctor said it was stress, related, but knowing that didn't make it better.
Kim.
Sarah's voice interrupted my spiralling thoughts. She was standing in the doorway, her Bible tucked under her arm.
Are you okay?
Just tired, I replied. She walked over and sat beside me, her expression soft but serious.
I've been thinking maybe you should go to the men's group at church next week. It might give you some perspective.
I shook my head. I don't have time for that, Sarah. My plate is already full.
That's exactly why you need it,
she said, her voice gentle but firm.
You're trying to control everything, but you can't. You're not supposed to.
I stifled the snarky reply forming before it escaped my lips. Her words stung, and they stuck with me as I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling. I thought about my chest pain, the constant pressure at work, and the nagging feeling that I was failing as a husband and father. I wasn't managing my time. Time was managing me. A new perspective. The brain, the Bible, and the clock. I wasn't sure why I showed up at the men's group the following week. Maybe it was Sarah's persistence to keep the fragile peace, or maybe it was that lingering pain in my chest. It would be good to get a man's input. Either way, I found myself in the church meeting room surrounded by a dozen guys who all looked like they had their lives together. Dave, a guy I vaguely recognised from Sunday mornings, greeted me with a handshake.
Glad you made it, Kim. How's life treating you?
Busy, I replied. He smiled knowingly.
Aren't we all?
The evening began with introductions, followed by a discussion led by Mr. Green, a retired businessman who clearly had wisdom to spare. Let's talk about time, he said. It's the one thing we all have the same amount of, 24 hours a day. Yet some people seem to make it count, while others let it slip away.
Why is that?
The room was silent. Mr. Green continued. Here's the truth. You can't manage time. You can't create it, save it, or find it. What you can do is manage yourself and how you spend the time you've been given. That's what it means to be a time steward. Time steward. Never heard that before. Time Lord, yes, but time steward, the phrase hit me like a sharp slap. I spent years trying to control time, Mr. Green said. I thought if I worked harder, planned better, and pushed myself more, I could conquer it. But all I did was burn out. I had to learn to let go of control and align my time with what really mattered. What was required of me, what aligned with my purpose, and what I truly desired. He paused and looked around the room. When we're intentional about how we use our time, it transforms not only our schedules but our minds. Romans 12 verse 2 tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That's not just spiritual advice, it's neuroscience. Your brain has the capacity to change through small intentional habits. Rewiring time. Become a time steward with the RAD habit. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my overflowing to-do list. Mr. Green's words echoed in my mind.
You can't manage time, but you can manage how you choose to spend it.
I grabbed a blank piece of paper and divided it into 3 columns. Required, What must I do today? Aligned. What moves me closer to my purpose? Desired. What brings me joy or fulfillment? At first, it was hard. I noticed how much of my time was spent on things that didn't fit into any of those categories. Busy work, distractions, tasks that could so easily be delegated. Slowly, I began to cut those out and focus on the things that truly mattered. I also decided to create a morning routine. Each day, before diving into emails or work, I spent 10 minutes praying, journaling, and reflecting on my priority. I asked God to help me steward my time today wisely. The first week was a messy disaster. I missed a few mornings, got distracted, and found myself slipping back into old habits. But as Mr. Green had said, failure was part of the process. Each stumble was an opportunity to learn and adjust. Living on purpose, redeeming the time. Over the next month, I began to see changes. Not just in how I spent my time, but in how I felt about it. At work, I stopped trying to control every detail and focused on the big picture. I delegated tasks that weren't in my strengths and empowered my team to take ownership of their work. To my surprise, productivity improved and so did my relationships with my co-workers. At home, I made an effort to be present with Sarah and the kids. I realized that even 5 minutes of focused attention meant more than an hour of distracted multitasking. One evening during my quiet time, I read Ephesians 5 verses 15 to 16. Be very careful, then, how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. The verse felt like it was written just for me. I wasn't just spending time anymore, I was redeeming it. Reflecting and refining, finding the sweet spot. Every few weeks, I reviewed my progress. I kept a journal where I tracked how I spent my time and how it aligned with my priorities. I started to notice patterns. Tasks that felt draining were often ones that didn't align with my purpose. Activities that energized me were usually in my strengths or brought me closer to my family. When I stumbled or overcommitted, I didn't beat myself up. Instead, I used those moments to refine my approach. Each adjustment brought me closer to the sweet spot where my time was being spent on what was truly required, aligned, and desired. Passing it on. Becoming a difference maker. One evening, my son asked me for help with a school project. As we worked together, he said, "You're different lately, Dad. You don't seem so mad all the time." His words cut me to the quick and brought tears to my eyes. The next Sunday, I shared my story with a few men after church. To my surprise, several of them admitted they were struggling with the same pressures. We decided to start meeting regularly, supporting each other in becoming better time stewards. As I told them, you can't manage time, but you can manage yourself. When you align your time with God's purpose, everything changes.
Conclusion, putting it all together. The journey you've just walked through with Kim isn't just a story, it's an invitation to your own transformation. If you've ever felt the weight of perfectionism, the tug of imposter syndrome, or the hollow ache of purpose slipping away, this is your moment. Let's summarise the key steps to take this forward, ensuring you have both a clear roadmap and the motivation to embark on it. Why you should do this: motivate. Kim's story reveals a powerful truth. Success without purpose leads to burnout. Carrying life's burdens alone, be it job pressures, financial strain, or relational disconnection, can leave you physically and emotionally depleted. But there's good news. You're not meant to carry it alone, and you don't have to stay stuck. Neuroscience tells us that you can rewire your brain for resilience and joy. Scripture reminds us that you are uniquely created for good works and a meaningful life. By combining faith and science, you can lighten the load, find peace, and lead with purpose. What you need to know, choir. 1. The science behind change. Your brain's neuroplasticity means you can form new habits and thought patterns, reducing stress and increasing clarity, and it gets easier over time through repetition. Chronic stress activates your amygdala and floods your body with cortisol. Practices like gratitude, prayer, and alignment with purpose can calm this overactivity. 2. The spiritual foundation. Romans 12 verse 2 teaches us to renew our minds. This aligns with the science of habit formation. Small, intentional changes lead to lasting transformation. Ephesians 2:10 reminds us that we are created for good works. Living with purpose isn't just beneficial, it's part of God's design for your life. How you can practice knowledge application. Start with the RAD habit. Required. Identify tasks only you can or should do. Aligned. Prioritize tasks that align with your God-given purpose. Desired. Make space for activities that energize and inspire you. Daily practices to rewire your brain. 1. Morning routine. Spend 10 minutes journaling, praying, or reflecting on the day's priorities. Ask, what is required of me? What is aligned with my purpose? What do I desire to do? 2. Gratitude list. Write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. This activates dopamine and builds positivity into your mindset. 3. Scripture meditation. Reflect on verses like Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Replace anxiety with trust. Expect failure. Like Kim, you may stumble as you form new habits. That's part of the process. Each failure is feedback. Use it to refine your approach and keep moving forward. Steps you can take in real life empower. 1. Realign your priorities. Spend a week tracking your activities. Categorize them as required, aligned, or desired. Delegate or eliminate tasks that don't fit. 2. Engage your faith. Make prayer and scripture part of your daily rhythm. Lean into God's promises, trusting Him to guide your steps. 3. Strengthen relationships. Share your journey with your spouse, family, or close friends. Building meaningful connections brings accountability and encouragement. 4. Be present. Whether at work or home, focus on quality over quantity. Acknowledge the value of the moments in front of you, just as Kim learned with his son. Questions to reflect and review. 1. What is weighing you down the most right now? 2. How well are your daily activity aligned with your God-given purpose? 3. What small habit can you start today to reduce stress or grow closer to God? 4. Who can you lean on for support or encouragement? 5. What's one area where you failed recently and how can you adjust moving forward? Take time each week to reflect on these questions. Journaling your answers will help you track progress and refine your habits. What you can do to share. The best way to solidify what you've learned is to share it with others. Just as Kim found fulfillment in mentoring others, you can use your journey to inspire those around you. 1. Start small. Share your experience with one trusted friend, co-worker, or family member. Encourage them to explore their own purpose and priorities. 2. Join or create a group. Consider joining or starting a small group to support others on their journeys. Discuss topics like purpose, leadership, and faith. 3. Mentor others. Look for opportunities to coach someone who's struggling with similar challenges. Sharing your story could be encouragement they need. Final reminder, as Kim learned, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be purposeful. Your transformation doesn't just change your life. It creates a ripple effect, impacting your family, workplace, and community. Take the first step today and do it before that chest pain manifests. The world needs difference makers like you because nobody else has your specific purpose and the world will miss out. We're excited to bring you mad coaching habits at no cost thanks to the incredible support of partners like you. Your generosity makes it possible for us to continue offering these resources to everyone. If you haven't become a paid subscriber yet, we invite you to join us today. Your subscription not only helps us sustain our mission, but also allows us to reach even more individuals who aspire to be the difference maker they were meant to be. We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Your feedback truly warms our hearts. And if you know someone who could benefit from our coaching habits, please pass this along. Thank you for being a vital part of our community.